wait, I don't need my screen yet. Then probably you've had a lot of fun. We learned a bit about the upcoming Nym hackathon, which is going to be super duper fun as part of Shipyard. Can't wait to see what you guys are going to be building. But for today, this is going to be the operator track, kicking off the operator track, basically, if I can speak. And to do that, we're going to be basically finishing Serinko's presentation from earlier during Shipyard. He's going to be doing the second half of it on how to run a Nym exit node. And I also have with me today Daniel Vasquez, who's head of growth for Latin America, who's going to be presenting to you guys the next iteration of the Nym Delegators program, which is going to be, of course, crucial for the operator track of Nym Shipyard. Say hi to the people, folks. How is it going?
Hey everyone, really good to be back here, and it's amazing to be with you all and with SudoSB for all the community, but also with Daniel, who, by the way, has been with us for 1 year and 1 day by now. And we have usually problems to catch up because of time zone differences. That's how decentralized we are. And here we are all together in first call, I think, so except the team meeting. So I'm pleased to be among you all, and I'm looking forward to go deeper.
Exactly. Let me second that. Happy Nym birthday, Daniel. How is it going? Say a few words to the audience.
Hi everyone. This is Daniel. I'm right now at Quito, Ecuador. I'm very happy to be here today with you for this masterclass about mixed nodes, and I'm very proud and happy to announce you the new delegation program, which is going to be said in some minutes. Previous, we are going to start with Serinko, and thanks for you to be here today.
All right, but before we get started with Serinko's presentation, the usual housekeeping items, we are keeping a close eye on chat as always, and if you have any questions to either of the presenters today, make sure to ask them in chat, or you can also ask them on our Matrix server on the general channel if you want to preserve your privacy and not log in with your Google account. So at the end, we will do a Q&A from both of these lovely gentlemen here, and we're going to be asking your questions. And with that said, I think, Serinko, it's time for you to take it away.
Okay, speaking from my phone, as none of the applications I tried on for browsers had really worked. Yes, am I here?
Yeah, I accidentally took you off screen instead of myself. Sorry, friend.
Oh, that's our classic relation. No worries about that. It's my honor, everyone, to be kicking off the level 3 operator track, as the level 3 was kicked off already yesterday by a great presentation, and today with SDKs right before us, but the operator track is starting right now, right here. So we'll be going deep into the network, the mixnet, and everything around the exit gateways, what Project Smoosh means, and so on. I want to say that if you're watching this presentation live, well, you get massive alpha because you're gonna learn, all the newest updates, which some of you might have heard. There is an announcement coming in the end as well. But if you look in the recording later, you're still gonna read a lot of important nuances, and you're gonna learn about the general on the deep structure of the network and what the changes are coming. But please refer to the documentation, because if you come in days or weeks later than this live stream right now, our software is very dynamic, our code base is very dynamic, and since we're applying all these changes, we're gonna be somewhere completely else in weeks of time. With that said, next one, please. We're gonna be looking into continuing basically part 2, as Sudo said, on the updates, on what Project Smoosh really means, what and why we actually doing, what are the changes, what do we call exit gateways, what is exit policy, which you might have heard about, what are the incentives for you to keep running the node or run exit gateway node, and we'll have a little announcement of something called illegal forum in the end. Next one, please. I'm Serinko. I'm DevRel in Nym, together with Alex and Max, who had been spoken right before me. And I do believe that any society or communities, to live freely and to be able to progress, think critically, and develop, they need to be able to do so without fear of surveillance, and without fear of any repercussion of how their expression and how their communication is going. Next one, please. which is in complete opposition of how internet is structured nowadays. And now I'm gonna fly very quickly through the very basics to have time to actually deep dive. So please refer to the opening jazz presentation, to her helping name presentation, Claudia Diaz on metadata leak and that type of stuff. Okay, next one, please. There's been some incredible progress in privacy and defending against surveillance. However, none of the solutions as end-to-end encryption, VPNs, or Tor can really do a full-on defense of a user against private companies, governments, or cyber criminals. Next one, please. With that, we have our solution, next one, which is Nym mixnet. Check out my talk 2 weeks ago on the 101 part. If you need more basis and high-level information, how that works. But real quick, what we have is a mixnet similar to Dandelion or to Tor network with multiple hops, but with quite a few tricks in our sleeve to actually get the privacy which the others aren't meeting with the tech. That is adding covered traffic and adding time obfuscation and being not like blockchain, easily horizontally scalable. Next one, please. If we will have a look on VPN in the bottom, we can see a traffic coming in, coming out, you moving your trust to another server, to another provider, at best decentralized, but very often just to a company. They can see all the metadata running through that. Tor, a big inspiration for us and a great project which we all use and support every day, having 3 hops and quite a few tricks there as well. However, there is if we would have a look on the entry and on the exit, if you would be able to look at those, you can make something like a time correlation where you basically can see the volume and the time of the data coming in and the data coming out. And then the last on top is Nym, which the nodes already in your local client, please go next one, is reordering the packages. Next slide, please. What does that mean? Is that if we would have a look on a classic chat between 2 people, Alice and Bob, you can see first on left side and right side, hey Bob, come into Bob. Hi Alice, come into Alice. Well, Matrix is amazing, right? We're inviting you all to our public Matrix space where, especially for operators, that's the place you're most likely gonna get the fastest answer from some of the DevRels or even the devs. Harry has been often hanging out there as well. And that's because it's end-to-end encrypted. So the messages themselves, no one should be able to read them, or no one cannot read them as far as I know, because there's end-to-end encryption by the protocol. But then if you would have a look on the little green dots coming to Bob and the little green dots coming to Alice, if that was it and they would be communicating just directly or over a server VPN, those dots have some size and some time. And that's what we call metadata. So we're adding the mixnet in between that, where now we look what actually is on a picture. On a local machine, on a computer or phone of Alice, a SOX 5 client or Nym Connect, all the packets, all the data get broken into packets of same size with edit, that's the orange dots, with edit covered traffic. It's like extra dummy packages, which are the yellow dots on a graph, same size like the broken down packets of the real data. Those are sent then to the network in this anonymized manner with the same timing, same size, to the gateway that takes it, send it to the mixnet. And in the mix nodes, what's happening, there's 3 hops, always 3 layers. On a graph, we have our logo, which is 9 of them, but at the current time I'm speaking, it's 240 active mix nodes. That's 3 layers of 80. So you get 80 times 80 times 80 possible ways where each of the packet is going its own way, okay? And they get mixed with all the other users, reordering, mixed, and spit out to the gateway, the exit gateway, which includes network request that makes requests on your behalf to the metric server. And Bob does the same to download the messages, to send his messages, or what have you. Okay, so this is just to kind of like very quickly going over how that works, what's under the hood. Again, catch my previous lesson if you want to kind of understand more how are the incentives and what's actually happening, how are the calculations. Pawn flag was given great input on from the user operator side. Next one, please. While we're doing that, why I'm showing you that, what are the next steps for us? Next one, please. And that's nothing less than our aim of scaling up to create the entire internet private and secure. Nothing less than that. With the mixnet which I just shown, which is running on mainnet and it's fully working at this very moment. However, next one, please. There are some limitations to the way we have it structured right now. That's the fact that you either build your client, WebAssembly, WebSocket usage, or some of the SDKs, which we've been hearing about in past presentation, or you use our application Nym Connect or the SOX5 client. That's basically the same. Nym Connect is to wrap around the SOX5 client. So it's very simple setup, but it's limited to some applications, okay? So we don't want to stay with sending messages to each other, sending transactions to each other and what have you, but we're aiming for system-wide generic solution. So that's one of the limitations we've been having up until now. That limitation also means that there is quite a low or limited revenue for operators because the usage has its limit. Hence, the traction cannot be as big as possible if it was used on a generic full internet layer. And as of now, we didn't have incentivized gateways. Okay, so when you run gateway, you're not getting any rewards. And to refer to rewards, please see another presentation. We don't have the bandwidth to go how the whole reward system is working. Huxley was also talking about the whole, token incentive and stuff. Next one, please. But yeah, we bring in a solution that is to open the mixnet to the world and open it to the usage with the new setup, which we're working on now. There is business-to-business privacy solutions demand is being higher and higher. And we do have all the bases which are needed for that, except that we need to do a few changes to overcome the limitations I was just mentioning. So from the limited over SOX5 traffic, we're gonna go to all system-wide application, where a user will be able to choose between Nym mixnet, full privacy, or Nym VPN, which will be faster, decentralized protection with 2 hops. So for us to be able to do that, we came up with something which we called Project Smoosh, and that's basically to simplify that for the operators and allow the mixnet nodes to be running the way they need to be running to meet this demand, to meet this aim, maybe better say next one. And that's what we call Project Smoosh. Next one. It's you can say it's a funny name, basically. I think it was originally a working name, being brought up by 2 founders, Dave and Claudia. They call, that's what we're doing. We're smooshing Nym nodes. So as it said, operator can serve alternatively as mixed node gateway or VPN node exit gateway. Our CEO, another founder, Har Halpin, said we aimed on purpose to make minimal changes to reward scheme and software. We are just smooshing end quote, to gather stuff we already debugged and know works. And this kind of like overall what we do. Next one, please. What does that mean in steps? We're aiming towards 3, but let me start with 1. That is to combine Nym gateway and network requester into one node. So they're gonna be connected together, running as one binary. That has been already done about 3 weeks ago, I believe. Then the next step is to create exit gateway. That is to take this gateway network requester combined and switch from allow list to new exit policy that has been introduced with last week release. And I'll be going deeper. What does that mean? And the third, that is something we've been working on, is to create one binary called Nym node, which will basically combine all the functionalities we have in a mixnet, including the new exit gateway, into one binary. So then the operator will just, compile or download one binary, and that's what we'll be running. And let me get into how is that gonna work. Next one, please. I mentioned something called exit gateway. I would want to invite everyone to check nymtech.net/operator/legal/exit-gateway.html, where the main page and the introduction with all the nitty-gritty detail is. Next one. But basically what it is when we talk about the full system privacy with the access to the entire internet, we need to do the shift from the limited allowed list into a more permissive setup. Something like you can imagine as a deny list. Basically, it's like policy. And that means that the operators running these gateways will have to open their nodes according to the new policy to the wide range of online services. It's very similar to how Tor exit relays are working. And those nodes will be working as the exit nodes for the Nym mixnet and Nym VPN, as well as the network requesters for, on the side of the service providers for the SOX5 client on your user side. Next one. When I say that one of the biggest changes is to come from allowed list, the setup which is now, where you basically have some domains, some hosts which you can use by default. You can run your network requester and change them into exit policy, which will actually be more permissive and will work in a way that every connection, the exit gateway checks whether the address is allowed by the policy, like before. But how it works, we use a tornel.org, and it checks if it's rejected IP in the range of tornel. If it's one of the rejected ones, it get denied right away. It's usually just like spams and scams like that. If it passes, it checks through the Tor reduced policy. If the ports are allowed, and if yes, it gets accepted, and anything else gets denied. This is how it's gonna work. And not like before, there's not gonna be a room for kind of custom, because we want the user experience to be reliable and persistent. That means that if me as a user want to go to a page, I want to be able to go to the page in the afternoon or tomorrow and not be denied because I crashed into a gateway when somebody changed the setup. So the new setup, this policy, the exit policy which we're introducing, will remain same for all the operators. You can see the link, which will also be added as I'm speaking, to where you can find the exit policy. Next one, please. This comes with a question: how does that gonna work for operators? We're looking basically into two possibilities how this can work. Two options. One is that we would create, maybe let me step back a little bit. In both cases, operator downloads one binary from release page or build it from together with the Nym platform. And then how the operator is going to run that. Here we come to two options. One is the selection button. When I say button, I mean a command or argument or a flag, right? Where the operator will be able to choose if they want their node to be running with all the functionalities, including exit gateway functionality, or only, for example, the mix node functionality. Again, all within one binary. This will be then kind of, it will affect the rewards, because the incentive will be if you allow all functionalities, especially the exit gateway, and you will become active as exit gateway, of course, in that given epoch, you will have higher rewards because there is larger risk exposure, there is much more overhead work, which we'll get later into. And generally, you need to do more in order to run a gateway than run a mixed node. And we also at this point need more exit gateways for the network to work full scale worldwide internet kind of private layer 0. So for that reason, if you run option 1, those ones who do choose to run exit gateways and their nodes perform as such, they'll be rewarded much higher than the ones sticking with the mixed nodes, which will be basically like, I don't know if I would make a quick guess, it's like a 33% of a total rewards, right? Because if you look on all the functionalities there. And because we want to put it heavier on a gateway side. The second option, again, we need to make a lot of tests and a lot of measurements and see, this is not just like if somebody make their mind, this is actually like what calculations need to be done. The second option is that all nodes will be actually required to have exit gateway functionality. If you want to become a part of active set, you're running your node as exit gateway functionality. Then all the nodes are rewarded same as of now, means that by the end of each reward, according the work, the proof of mixing, now also with the traffic going through the gateway, the rewards for the epoch are split among them proportionally. And sometimes your node would be performing as exit gateway, sometimes as a mixed node, but you wouldn't have a control over that. It would be adjusted according to demand by an algorithm running behind that. So these are two options which are still part of the discussion and a lot of testing. Next one, please. One way or the other, we want to make sure that Smoosh will be smooth. Okay, so the transition is not going to be something coming out of surprise, out of nowhere. As you know, this class is a proof of that. So we're gonna have some steps to get to the final destination. Now I'm talking about the exit gateway, right? One is, which is already on the mainnet, it's in production. The exit policy is disabled by default. So right now, as I was showing before in the steps, it does exist and you can already run it that way. By default, it's disabled and you're still running through the allowed list. Okay, only those few applications, so you kind of not surprised that your gateway after upgrade is doing all these things. It's open to the full internet, all the hosts and domains out there. You can change that though nowadays by running with exit policy or modifying your config file. The next step, which is gonna be coming very soon, is that by default we will be running already the new exit policy, but you'll still be allowed to run your gateway with the old allowed list, but this time you'll have to add a flag to disable the exit policy. Okay, so you see how the default mode is changing from one to the other. And eventually, and hard to say when that's gonna be exactly, so please don't ask me that, scope of weeks, the exit policy, the new open exit policy will be the only option. And then the allowed list will be completely removed from any option and from our repo, and it will be left in the history. Next one, please. And I'm finishing here. I want to invite everyone to come tomorrow, setting up Nym node. We have a live demo class. It can go wrong, correct? And all the tips and tricks you want to start your own node will be shown there. And of course, then there are the DevRel hours as well. We will have 1 hour, so maybe not all the tips and tricks, but most of them. But I'll give a little teaser for the, maybe some of you are new operators and you're looking at that, they're like, what the hell is all of that? But for all of you who are kind of seasoned operators already, being with us for quite some time, here is it's taken from our documentation, so check it out. Are we on there? So here is ways how you can switch into the new setup, which I was just talking about. So you can initialize your gateway as such. You add with network requester and you add with exit policy true. If you don't want to reinitialize it or you have reasons, you can just change it by running a command on your already existing gateway that is set up network requester. And you enable it true and with exit policy true. And in case you want to change just the policy and you already added network requester to your gateway before, you have already the combined gateway with network requester and want to make it full exit gateway by changing the policy option, you need to go to your network requester under gateways directory config and change use deprecated allow list into false. So here's just a little teaser of some syntax which you need to run in your command line. It's again all in the documentation. Look at that. I just see that there is new thing that -- listening -- address. That's what it was used to be. We might have to update that. That's just a very new kind of stuff. And to finish, next one, please. We got an announcement to bring. Well, we've already leaked that, and also those of you sitting on our chats, they've seen that. Next one. We are opening operators legal forum. As I've said in last stream, NimTech core team, we are not the operators, okay? We run the code, we write the code, we give support, we help people, and so on. But to come to a decentralized network, which is non-fragile to like any problems of centralization, you all watching this are the operators. So that's very important to remember. With that said, we cannot provide any comprehensive legal advice, so please treat it as information, especially given that we want as many jurisdictions as possible to be covered, and the laws that are different under different jurisdictions. So we initiated legal forum we have some legal counsel and brought some initial information on few jurisdictions. Next one, please. Particular on Switzerland and United States, and some overall stuff around gateway and some findings from Tor project, which the authorities are very similar. So these information do exist there and are shared, but more important than anything else is that now we all step up, use this as a community legal forum, because that's what it exactly is. It's all under open license, and there is I made a screenshot here how to add legal information. So if you're gonna go to nimtech.net/operators and you click down on legal forum exit gateway, if you scroll down, you'll see all these commands. I'm just showing a quick preview of a screenshot, but basically we want people to do the classic issue open pull request kind of flow, which we do with any other issue, and bring it to the metrics special form which we have for this particular reason, and say, hey, here are some of the information. Let's talk about it. Let's work them out. We will soon, probably after Shipyard, because all the developers are swamped, we will probably create a template, what to focus on, what to add, but we can help with each other. We can research other templates. So creating these issues and these pull requests is a little bit easier, but also judging them, kind of like reviewing them, is easier for everyone else. Next one, please. With that said, that's all from me for today. Well, it's been a little bit over an hour. I'm sorry for that. We also started a little bit later due to my technical issues. And, talk to you tomorrow, if not on some questions today. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for the presentation, Serinko. We have quite a few community questions. We're going to be doing the Q&A at the end, though, together with all of you. Serinko, you may want to disable video for the Q&A because your audio is cracking a little bit. I don't know why, but it's like crackling a little bit. All right, but with that said, let me switch to the other presentation, which is going to be about the Delegators program, the second iteration. So for those of you who have been around for some time, you guys know that we already launched like a smaller sort of test version of the Delegators program about half a year ago. And now as a part of Shipyard, basically, we're going to scale that up also to support the Nym VPN. But Daniel will tell you all about that. So let me share your slides. Don't forget to say next slide, please, and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Sudo. Okay, let's go. So let's jump on delegation program 2. It's obvious there is a 2 there because we have a previous one program which was launched probably in June, and then the winners were selected and staked in July. And for that, people they will also jump on program 2 for some things and not for others. But let's talk to later about the exact details. Also, it's nice to tell you just at the beginning that this is not the definitive notes of the program. The program is going to be launched very soon, in next days. So this is just a kind of introduction, a light introduction. So you have some details of the spirit of the program and some key details of what we are going to do next week. So let's start from here. It's going to be a very short presentation. So if you're so kind, please go on. Next slide. Yeah, so the delegation program, it's a temporary token delegation program to encourage node decentralization. When we say there's a temporary token delegation program, it's because it's not forever. We are going to give a support during some time, probably during 1 year. It's still yet to be defined in the next days, but the program is for helping new admins to make enough staking on the mixed node so they don't miss us. We are going to talk that in the next slide, so please go to the next slide. The objective of the program, the main objective is to decentralize the mixnet. You know that we are trying to promote decentralization in everything we make, especially in the mixnet, which have several mixed nodes in Central Europe. So we make this first version of the program to spread the opportunities, to get new people on board also, and to set up mixed nodes where we have not, because latency is affected by distance of the mixed node that you use. So it was a very successful program, the first one, and we decided to make this second version. Also, one of the program objectives is to improve the accessibility and ability of the service for end users. What that means? This is referred to the fact that we are going to launch Nym VPN. As you know, Nym VPN will be a huge change of Nym privacy tools. So Nym VPN will need a lot of mixed nodes to work on, so the users have a very good service, and they need mixed nodes where we have not. So one of the focus of this GR is not only going to be to create mixed nodes in underrepresented places, but also where more mixed nodes are needed due to the amount of population and use of the VPN between that population. We will talk about this in next days, but that's the main objective. So also another big objective of the program is to help operators to come to get as professional operators. So we are going to provide training. We are going to provide the resources and guidance, and we are going to stimulate self-sufficiency of administrators, because the main objective of this program is you to leave the program, is that you get over 70% of stake, so you get out of the program because you are a success and you don't need our support anymore. And next slide, please. And how we are going to implement this, how we are going to get these objectives. So supporting 15 nodes, this number could change in next days, but this is approximate number what we think that is needed for 1 year, with staking up to 20 or 30% saturation. We are still not sure about the amount, probably will be a 20 or a 30. It's depending on some tech debates about the tokenomics we will have this week. And also, we are going to have a super mentor team, a mentorships that is going to make not just monitoring, but it's going to make you happy because they are going to be with you, giving you support, giving you ideas, giving you best practice, and going along the program, helping you to get out of the program, which will be your and their success. Next slide, please. So we think about the schedule. We have some key dates. The opening day is going to be soon, really, really soon, next days. So be please pending on channels and our social networks to be sure you get the last information about the opening. The people who know the program for the previous version, you know that there will be a web page publication, a blog post, will be a form, so you can make the registration process. Then you must need to know that when after opening the process, 10 days later, we are going to close the registration, and we will need probably like 10 days more to analyze all the proposals and make a pre-selection. Then we will report you that you are pre-selected and that we will need to make a personal interview with you, a video conf, in which we are going to connect, we are going to talk, you are going to show us your mix node, you are going to connect to the server, we are going to see some of your abilities and try to transmit you the relevance of the key points of the program. So with that interview, you are not still the winner, it's just an interview. So when we finish all the interviews, we will take our final decision about who are the winners. The interview process will be probably more than 7 days. We put there 7 days is an optimistic way of saying this, because if you are going to be 50 people, it's going to be very hard. Remember that for past program, we made 45 interviews, and we were like 8 days, I remember, 7 days. So this time we are going to have a little more, but this is a critical part of the process because we need to confirm some details, to know that you are not a bot, that is not the same admin making too much mix node, whatever. So winners will be, after that, in 1 day, we will make public the list of winners, and then we will start the staking process. So I'm not sure about the final close date of this, but will be approximately the mid-December, probably some soon, but mid-December is a nice day. So if we can go on, please. Yeah, so if we talk about the requirements for being able to participate in this wonderful project, you will need to know that it's only 1 node per candidate. Of course, if you are, you could have more mixed nodes, but you can only present 1 to this program. The node has to function as an exit node. This is mandatory, and this is also mandatory in next weeks for the people who want the delegation program versus 1. We will talk with you in the channel, in the element channel that we have been using to communicate, and we will give you the final date in which we are going to set up this configuration of being an exit node. This is mandatory for being in the program, and also must note that the operator who enter the program, who want to compete and to win this program, does not have to have another node about 50% saturation, because there is some really nice and incredible communities who have 6, 5, 4, 3 mixed nodes. But we want also to disconcentrate and to get new people on board. So this is a program to also get new people with less participation. And for sure, as Nym is going to give tokens, this is a KYC mandatory program. So it's you need to know that if you don't pass the KYC, you will not be able to be eligible to be staking by Nym. Next slide, please. So about the node location, and this is also very relevant, but we still are not going to give the full details on this. You need to know that the priority countries probably will be Asia region and big underrepresented countries. The main reason for this is that making analysis on internet population, VPN million users per country, and some more technical details more, we are almost sure that we need more mixed nodes in Asia region. For sure, there is other countries we will have that is not only Asia, but at least for sure, the big 2-3 ones will be Asian countries. So I encourage you to start looking for VPS provider with IPv4 and IPv6 in Asia region. And also we will have some additional countries. It's not going to be only on Asia, but also countries with more than 50 or 20 million inhabitants where we have 0 mixed nodes. This is why, this is because, as you know, Nym VPN, as other VPN products and VPN users demand to have exit gateways, exit nodes in different locations. So for Netflix reasons, for security reasons, for whatever reason, they need their traffic goes out from a specific country. So for copyright reasons sometimes. So you will need to find, you will be able to find a mixed node. If we do this like this, that I'm saying, is like, for example, if there is a country which have one provider and 4 countries that are close to that one, and none of them have mixed nodes, probably we can set up 2 or 3 at least in that country. But that will be like, you will know more of details of this in next days, but just try to put the focus on Asia and countries who have more than 50 million inhabitants and who have no mixed nodes or only have one. Next slide, please. Thank you, Sudo. So the selection criteria is going to be based on location and the ability of the system administrator of the mixed nodes. That will be the main criteria. But as we know all that a lot of people is going to enter this program, there will be more extra selection criteria in case there is tie between participants. So one of that criteria will be the active community participation. If there is people that is always in the Telegram channel, helping the newbies, spreading our news in social networks and making retweets and spreading the word in other places. If there is people who develop software or that is making documentation or help with translation, that kind of people that is making a lot of these things, for sure is going to be on top of the people who we are going to choose if there is a tie. Also, the Shipyard participation, the people who are here, and you are going to make the exams, whatever the result you have, but you make all the process. You will also have some extra points for saying in some way. And also a good previous mixed node participation. If you have a mixed node during past months and years, and you make weekly or monthly updates, and you are pending on the mixed node, your uptime is very nice. So if you make a good job with your mixed node, you will have more points than the other ones because you will have more probability of winning the program, of getting over 70% of stake. So that's the main selection criteria we are going to have, and they are very relevant. Please take note on this. Next slide, Sudo, please. So if you win the program, if you are one of the winners, here is some key information. You must participate in an Element channel where you will be with the mentors and the rest of participants, trying to create a nice community. If your mix node have a poor performance on time and similars, it's probably that you finish out of the program. That's normal, of course, because we need a good performance in the mix nodes to give good service to the people. Dishonest behavior, such as suddenly increasing operational costs or your profit, you know, that will result in immediate termination. Probably we are going to add you some things, but you cannot do that. And all the team know this. We had some problems in past edition, so we hope not to have the same problem in this one. And also, you have to have reasonable node parameters, because if you don't have, you are not going to attract delegation. So if you are not upgrading your mix node, your mix node is too outdated, if you have too much downtime, if your operational costs are too high, remember it's a 10% maximum in this program, or if 10% of profit, sorry, or your operational cost is too much, probably you are going to go out of this. Soon we will talk about operational cost. We are going to allow to go up a little bit with that, but remember that we are going to ask you about the cost of your mix node to see that it's a reasonable parameter, so you can win delegation, because that's the main point of the program. If you have reasonable parameters, if you are active in the community, if you follow the advices of the mentors, it's like you are going to get a stake and you are going to grow very fast, or at least you are going to grow even if it's slow. So that's the main point. Next slide. I think we are finishing, and yes, your Patreons, and now Sudo, we are ready for questions or whatever is needed.
All right. Thanks for that presentation as well. Absolutely excellent stuff. Like Daniel mentioned, the final few details of the second iteration of the Delegators program are still being figured out. So expect to see a blog post announcing all the details and everything that you've seen in this presentation down to the nitty-gritty. But we have a ton of community questions, so let me just jump straight into those. I'm going to be trying to I can already see that we unfortunately won't have time for all of them, but I'm going to be trying to ask from both presentations, so some from Serinko, some from Daniel, and also keep them specific to the presentations. Unrelated questions will not be asked. All right, so first question is from Zhu. I think Zhu, maybe that's how her name is pronounced. Thanks for the question. How to be Smoosh compatible. This one is for you, Serinko, I believe. How to be Smoosh compatible if I am already running a gateway only. I separately download SOC5 client for testing, and the same for network requester and client binary, keeping the same existing keys. Do we have an answer for this one?
Yes, I'll answer maybe a few questions at once. Sorry, I was just checking. I was chatting with devs at the same time on some deeper questions, if they're gonna come or not. Okay, so what we aiming for and gonna do everything possible is that with every upgrade, you'll be able to be upgrading your nodes all the way to the final destination, which is gonna be the Nym node, without any massive changes. If you have a node right now, and wanna the exit gateway, that is possible. You can just keep it, and you can run the commands which I was sharing today. That's either to reinitialize your gateway and add the with network requester with exit policy true, or run the setup network requester command, or change the config if you already had network request to edit and you just want to add the exit policy. With that, you're going to stay with the same gateway you have. There is probably not going to be many reasons for people to keep network requester and not to just like spin a new one with a gateway with these flags I just named. I know No Trust Verified had some good reason for the time being, and there is a possibility you basically move that config, you move that network requester in the config under the gateway config, and you need to do little tweaks. I will document that in the coming week. We'll probably make also a flag for that, so it's easier. However, because we are changing the setup, and most of the people run their own network requesters in order to be able to have access to something which our default allowed the list don't have access to. They don't have no need for doing so if they're gonna just make a new network requester with their existing or new gateway, because with that exit policy allowed true, you'll be automatically defaulted to be able to run all of those hosts. So I hope I also answered the actual initial question, but the long story short, the TLDR there is yes, it is possible. We also have FAQ, particular on Smoosh, because these questions are piling up. I'll add that one. I'm making myself a note here in a coming week as well. But check it out, because there is, I can answer something now, but you'll probably need to sit down and do some changes, and take your time. So check that FAQ. It's also on nymtech.net/operators. I'm not gonna give the whole path, but you can just click on that. We have particularly the book only for operators, so there is not a long list of a menu. You'll see it on the left side menu possibilities.
All right, thanks for that answer. The next one is for you, Daniel. I'm sorry, I can't read your name because I can't read Cyrillic. Hopefully that's fine. But the question is, so if I have a node in the first delegation program, can I participate in this one with a second node?
Thank you for the question. Yes, you are. It's a very easy question. So if you are one of the winners, you are going to be able to participate also in this one, except if you didn't update the mix node from the very first day, which is happening with, I think, no one, the guy who had the problem was updated it, but instead you have a very incredible bad performance on something like that we are going to review next days. But I think most of the participants do a nice job. So yes, the question is yes, you can for sure.
Thanks for that answer. Next one is for you, Serinko. This is a bit more theoretical, a bit more of a theoretical question. So also from someone whose name is in Cyrillic. I'm sorry, I'm not able to read that out, but a really great question. So thank you for that. Obfuscation of outgoing traffic packets is understandable, but can you explain how Alice's message reaches Bob? How the packet reaches its destination if all metadata is confused or mixed?
Well, that would be a long story, but basically on each of the station down the way, you have new encryption on top of the old encryption, right? So I'm gonna encrypt it to the final destination and send it to the mixnet, and that's gonna send it to the next hop, that's gonna send it to the next hop, that's gonna send it to the, I don't know how many times I've said it, to the final gateway. And only then it's also unpeeling those, and the gateway passes it to, looks at that, passes it to the network requester. So the final gateway do see the destination, but there is no way that the gateway will see where it's coming from, or when exactly in terms of milliseconds latency it was sent. So there is, if you would look at the graph, infograph I was showing earlier, there is of course at some point on the side of the network requester, you need to disclose the destination and decrypt the last kind of encryption. However, the previous path and the sender is unknown to you. We can go more over that in the DevRel hours. I'll talk to a great mentor of mine and our CTO Mark Sinclair, who's been legendary for his scribbles. I have it here on my whiteboard as well, but maybe we can go deeper into that in a coming session.
Great, thanks for that answer. Oh, Daniel's back. I was just about to say that we lost him. All right, next question is gonna be 2-in-1 for you. So verify first. 21 is asking question to Daniel for the Delegators program. For interviews, is it face-to-face or is video required? Is audio only okay? And I will also add in another question here. Where did I see that one? The other question was, I can't find it now, but basically the question was, is it not a bit ironic that we are doing interviews given that we're a privacy project? I think, these are both related to the interview, so let's address them one by one.
Okay, the very first question, yes, it's going to be video conf. Yes, it is, because we need to avoid cheaters. There was people in the past program who tried to set up several mix, not the same guy, so the interviews was a nice filter to avoid that. It's not fair for the rest of the participants. I don't remember the face of no one of the people who I interviewed because my brain deleted a lot of information that is necessary to survive and 2 collapses of work. Really, I say it's not a joke. So I don't remember the face of absolutely no one of that guys, neither their voice. No, there is no record about this. It's just a very pretty fast test to see that people is real. So I think is a contradiction. Going to the second question is probably, it's a contradiction. But let me tell you something. Less than 5 contradictions in your life is that you are a fucking dogmatic guy. So this is some kind of radical, but it's like some nice comment we have in the social movements, activists from some years ago. So we say, okay, we are going to be very radical, we are going to be very open source, we are going to be so privacy guys, but we drink Coca-Cola, and some of go to buy to some very famous shops or whatever. So you are allowed to have some contradictions in your life. Now, jumping on a company like ours, it's also a little contradiction, but it's normal if we want to protect also the fair participation for the other people. And as I said, we are not looking. You can also set up a mixed node without competing in this delegation program. And you can also get tokens without going to quizzes and passing KYC. Like we offer both the ways. You can do the really hard privacy way by yourself, or if we open this kind of participation to other people, so they can also enter without having money or having not so much knowledge, even if it's a cost of a little of privacy. But if you want to maintain your very full radical privacy, it's perfect. I clap you, and that's the way. But then don't ask for Nym tokens and support your mixed node. Do the hard way.
Yeah,
I would maybe add to it one thing, very quick, and that is, please everyone keep in mind, signing 100% what Daniel said, of course, but everyone also keep in mind that by that, there is no way that even if you don't trust whatever we say, there is still no way that these links will create any kind of, you don't see any data which will ever run over your nodes. Hence, even if we somewhat magically, you kind of don't trust what we say, we by that not gonna be able to see what your nodes are doing. That's the whole way how the tech is made in a way to be truly decentralized and kind of anti-fragile. So that part will be always trustless and verifiable. So this is more to actually do build the trust only between operator who wants token and between us as a company which is issuing that delegation.
exactly. You added what I wanted to add, so I'm just gonna go on. This is exactly what I wanted to say, Serinko. I think we have time for one last question for you, Serinko. I'm gonna find one real quick. Okay, this is, I'm not sure whether we're gonna be answering this, and you kind of covered this already, but it's still a great question from Tech Pundit. Thanks for the question, Tech Pundit. Are there any legal implications of running a mixed node, Serinko?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I don't know where you're at, and you don't have to write it on a YouTube chat if you don't want to, because that wouldn't help me neither. I'm not a legal professional. However, the general line on the mixed node, especially whether you're running mixed node now or later, you will either be given the choice or your node will perform as mixed node by the algorithm, is that we haven't seen anyone having any legal problem so far, because the mixed nodes, what they do is they get encrypted traffic and they send encrypted traffic to other mixed nodes if they are layer 1 or layer 2 to the next mixed node, or if they are layer 3 to the gateway. And only as I was given previous answer, the gateway then sends it to the internet. And that comes with some other legal questions, hence our today's announcement of a community legals operator forum, because that might come, especially because different jurisdictions with different possible, not necessarily problems, but maybe more work and more responsibility for the operators. But so far as I know, take it as information with very limited experience and with somebody who has no education whatsoever on laws, no legal advice here. But as far as my experience goes, no problems for the mixed nodes being recorded.
Exactly. The only thing that I would add here is that providing general legal advice as a global project is basically impossible. I hope you guys see that. There are 200-ish countries in the world, so each of them have their own legal systems, and they also change, and all of them are very different. But like Serinko mentioned, we have quite a bit of precedent for systems similar to the Nym mixnet. Of course, Tor is one of those, obviously, it varies by region what the law allows for, but it looks to be fairly safe. So we're counting on you guys to sort of stick together and share your best practices, and also anything that you may find out about your region to help each other out. When it comes to legal stuff, of course, we're also going to be keeping a close eye on the chats on the legal forum, and let's make sure nobody gets in trouble. And I think on that note, we reached the end of our presentation. I allowed us to go a bit over, given that we started late. So sorry for that, guys. Huge thanks for both of you for coming on, Serinko and Daniel. It's been an absolute pleasure. Keep your eyes peeled for further details about the Delegators program. A blog post will be coming out in the coming days, which will share even further details. See you on the channels, and of course, if you participate on the builder track as well, then make sure to give the hackathon a look. I can't wait to see what kind of stuff gets built as part of the Nym hackathon. Any closing remarks, folks? No.
Not to me. Just thank you to everyone for your patience, and just be pending on the social network channels and the community channels to have more knowledge about the sad day of the launch of the delegation program. And bye-bye.
I will say
All right,
that.
well, not bye-bye yet. Sorry, Serinko, go.
I'll just say that I see the massive improvement of the quality of the questions, and I'll admit I see the list of all of them, not only those which were chosen, or some of we didn't have time, and those ones in the chats. And to be honest, sometimes they're challenging for me, being 4 or 5 months in Nym, and that's good. That means that we're getting really deep. We're getting more people who are, their quality and their knowledge is growing with every day, and it pushing us kind of like to test. And it's not about my knowledge, my ego. It's about like, wow, you're helping to debug the software we are building, and you're helping to also make it easier for us to document things into FAQs and things like that. So next time somebody doesn't even have to ask, maybe they'll just ask and we point them, because your question repeatedly help us to build that. With that, I want to give a little reservation that sometimes might take us a little bit because maybe the question indeed is completely new and is a problem we haven't crashed into as there are dynamic changes in the software we build. So sometimes the answers also given the density of the events during Shipyard might be a bit slower, but it's because we want to make sure that, we test it ourselves, we talk to the devs, and everything takes its time. So thank you very much for those and, the patience there and everything. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to second that real quick, Serinko. So obviously I see the questions here on this monitor every time after every lecture, and all throughout Shipyard we have been getting some truly amazing questions, and it always sucks that I can only ask a few of them and not all of them. So sorry for that, guys, and thank you for the excellent questions. One quick thing, if you want to keep the conversation going, you can post your question, maybe text Serinko or Daniel on the Matrix server, and then we'll probably have more time, and also in writing it's easier to answer them. So if your question was not answered and you really want to know something, then make sure to repeat it in the Matrix server. All right. With all of that said, of course, the call is not over yet because, as usual, we have a POAP for today. So let me share the secret phrase. All right, so the secret phrase for today is Minga Hacker. This one was selected by you, Daniel. Why did you pick this one?
Yes. Well, Minga is an indigenous concept here in Latin America, especially from Quechua regions, from the Andean region, but it's also spread in the world region, have several and different names that is connected to the work that is done by a community for the common good. So, for example, all the community decide to open a new path on the forest to communicate with the river or to go to another community, or all the community get joined together to go and set up a new house for a new family who get to the village, or whatever kind of activity that is collective, that is made by the whole community, and that there is no cost on it, even if there is some rewards for everyone, because everyone gets rewarded for doing this. If you open a path, you have a path. If you create a new building for a new house, for a new family, you have some new friends who is going to support them later in your life. So we see Nym mixnet like a kind of Minga hacker, which is in the way that a lot of hackers get together and create common goods for protecting privacy of everyone and get rewarded for doing so. So that's why we choose Minga Hacker today.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, Daniel. All right, so now you know, and your secret phrase is Minga Hacker. What you need to do is the usual stuff. So if you've been around for this long, you probably know the drill already. Go to nymtech.net/go/POAP and enter Minga Hacker with the same spelling. So 2 words, capital M, not capital H, and do so in the next 15 minutes to claim your POAP. Once again, huge thanks for all the lovely questions and for being with us today. Also, big thanks to both Serinko and Daniel for presenting today. Once again, any closing remarks? I can ask this question an infinite number of times. All right, so no closing remarks. Guys, have a lovely evening or day or whatever it may be on your region, and see you around. Bye, everyone.